probably one of the most difficult questions at the moment that I can think of in that respect, because the right skills are not necessarily the skills that we have in school. Whether that is a simple example would be an IT class at secondary level taught. They come into maybe the industry at some point. What they're taught today by that time is way out of date, and I see that coming into our industry frequently. So that's an interesting point. How do we keep it up to date? So how do we actually enable the teachers? And I think that's a key question in this one. And some of the answers we had today here, I think, are very valid. And from my point of view, as the industry partner, I would be more than happy to actually offer more services in that respect, to actually get the teachers up to date, to get the teaching staff to share our enthusiasm, our passion about the topics that we need to get in, because it's all about the people and how they convey a subject. It's not necessarily what's written in a textbook. And that's, I think, very important to me personally, as well as then having the right candidates coming back into my industry to actually work for me. Let me give you an example. We run quite an extensive internship program, and we have every year around about between 100 and 150 applicants to do an internship, a technical internship for Intel. So I get these CVs as they come in from about 100, 150, and I go through them, and what I look for is how do they differentiate themselves. They all do the same courses, they all do the same classes. So what I look for is, can I detect that bit of passion, that bit of enthusiasm about a particular topic, which may or may not even be related to the industry or to the job they're applying for. But it's not so much about the skill, it's about the aptitude, it's about the individual and how they present themselves. And I think that's something that's lacking in our curriculum today, to make that, I wouldn't say clear to the students, but to make them understand, look, you may be studying a certain subject now, but that doesn't mean that that's for the next 60 years of your career. 60 is a bit much, 40 years of your career. Yeah, so there is a whole host of alternatives that you may find interesting, and you may want to go for. You may want to expand on those skills. Some of it you might have to do on your own, because schools, universities cannot deliver that particular item. And it's that bit of individual enthusiasm and passion that I look for in those CVs, where they differentiate themselves, and I say, yeah, that person might be the right one for this job. Not necessarily just based on the skill set that they present. Does that make sense? It isn't actually as difficult as maybe some of the big corporations think. We do have quite an extensive local school system around us that we can go into at any time. So I work with schools, I work with the colleges, the further education colleges. I say, look, do you give me an afternoon and I'll talk about careers that we may or may not have in Intel, or what you can do with certain qualifications. And normally they bite my hand off for that sort of thing. But it's not a one-way road. So it is that sort of initiative to go into those. And I have 60 students in a room. They all study some form of BTEC, IT, BTEC, that sort of qualification. And I can talk about Intel. And Intel is, like most of our peers in the industry, not just all about computer science. The job range is just vast. And to actually enlighten those youngsters to, look, there is marketing jobs that need technical knowledge. You can't talk about Intel products without understanding at least what they're about, but you might be a marketeer. There's sales roles. There is all sorts of different jobs that can be done. And I personally find it, for me, quite fulfilling to actually do this and talk for an afternoon about these things. Show them little demos. I mean, most of the IT stuff you can take along these days. It's not all about heavy, big kit anymore. So I find it, for me, easy, but of course we're just a small piece in the puzzle, and maybe that's something that schools want to go forward to as well and actually approach the industry. I don't know, teachers haven't got a lot of time. I'm the first one to appreciate that. So. Going back to what we're really looking at here is, and that's from personal experience as much as having been involved with the hiring of students, etc., is I personally feel we're forcing young people too early in making too specific decisions about a potential career without giving them the information that they need to make that a qualified decision. So there is two ways. Either we give them much more information, which is difficult to do because, as I said, teachers haven't got that much time, we're forced to a curriculum, or maybe delay that decision to finally say, actually, I do want a career in technology, whether that's engineering, whether that's the science, whether that's information technology, whatever it may be, or I want to go a completely different way. I want to have a career in humanities, why not? To actually delay that decision, maybe, I don't know, until 18 or 21 maybe even. I think that's, for me, an important one. Without going as far as saying, let's just change the whole UK education system, which is, of course, a difficult one, to at least say, when we do go into the A-level range, to substitute those 2 or 3 focus subjects with subjects from other areas, so a language, a humanity, in addition to the 2 or 3 science subjects. Now, I know that is puts more workload into it for the student and also for the teaching staff, but it would remain keeping that option a little longer open for any student to say, actually, what I've learned in, I don't know, how about philosophy as a subject, as a fundamental mandatory subject? Other countries do it. To say, I've learned so much about such and such topic. Yes, I still want to do this technology role or this technology career, but I might want to look at how do I get the other parts into it as well, and hence broaden my options massively. I think that's what I would do.